Hello! We're going today to start talking about the passive voice. First, it's important to remember the difference between active and passive sentences. In active sentences, the subjects are known. We know who or what does the action. In passive sentences, the subjects are unknown, which means that we don't know who or what does the action. When do we use the passive voice? We use it when we are more interested in the action than the people who do the action, such as the bridge was built in 1866. We're interested in building the bridge more than who built the bridge. 2. English is spoken here. Okay, we use the passive voice when we don't know who exactly does the action, when the subject is unknown, such as my things have been moved, but I don't know who has moved them. 2. His bag has been stolen. We also here don't know who is the subject. 3. When it's obvious or understood who did the action. The criminal was arrested at 5:30 p.m. Smoking is not permitted. So by reading these two sentences, we can understand who the subjects are. An important note that by the end of the passive sentences, we use by plus the agent. Agent is used to say who or what carries out an action. Carries out does an action. We add by plus the agent when the subject is specific or an important person or when it's essential to the meaning. We're going to highlight this idea later on through doing the exercises and explaining the lesson. By is not used when the subject is one, someone, somebody, people, he, she, they, etc. Now let's talk about the form of passive sentences. In passive sentences, we are going to use the object, be, verb to be, and the past participle form of the verb, and sometimes we're going to use by plus the agent. Now let's talk about the present simple passive. This is number 1. The rule of the present simple passive is, are, am with the past participle form of the verb, because here we said that we're going to use each time we're going to use the verb to be. In the present simple passive is, are, am. Robots do the work. Now the first step is that we have to underline the subject, the verb, the object. Okay, now let's hold the object and move it here. Do, okay, is going to be added here, but in the past participle form. Because the work is singular, we've used is, because it's a present simple passive sentence. The work is done by robots because... Now, 2, they meant cars here. They is the subject. Mend is the verb. Cars is the object. Okay, because they is unknown subject, let's omit it and move the object to the beginning of the new sentence. Mend is in the present simple tense, okay, and cars is plural. So, cars are as I told you before, because mend is in the present simple tense, so cars are, and take the past participle form of this verb, cars are mended here. Now what about the past simple passive? In the past simple passive, the rule is, as we said before, the be, the verb to be, and the past participle form. So the verb to be here is was or were. Someone stole my purse on the train. Someone is the subject, stole is the verb, my purse is the object. Okay, omit the subject because it's someone. Move the object to the beginning of the new sentence. The verb here is past and the object is singular. So in this case, my purse, we say my purse was because my purse is singular, and stolen because it's the past participle form of the verb steal, My purse was stolen on the train. We complete the rest of the sentence. They invented penicillin and the microwave oven by accident. They is the subject, invented is in the past, which is the verb. Penicillin and the microwave oven, the object. They, we omit it because it's unknown. Then we move the object to the beginning of the new sentence. Penicillin and the microwave oven were, because there are two, were invented. This is the past participle form of the verb invented. Okay, and this is the rest of the sentence. Now, what about the rule of the future simple passive? For the future, we have will, and this is our original rule, which is be with the past participle form, because will is always followed with the infinitive form of the verb. They will build a new hospital. They is the subject, will build the helping verb and the verb. A new hospital is the object. Now, let's omit they and move the object to the beginning of the new sentence. A new hospital will, we put the modal will, the modal verb will, be according to the rule, and we take the past participle form of the verb build, which is built. A new hospital will be built, and we don't need they. The present continuous passive, okay, the rule is, are, am, being with the past participle form, is, are, am, because we have present, because the verb is in the present. Being, it was at first be. This is according to our original rule. It becomes being because the verb is continuous, and continuous means that the main verb is going to be in the ing form, okay? And the past participle form of the verb. They are doing lots of interesting activities at the moment. They is the subject, are doing the verb. Lots of interesting activities, the object. Lots of interesting activities. Lots of interesting activities, plural. Okay, so because of that, we've used are. Be steals the ing from the verb doing. So we take the ing here and give it to be. Okay, so we omit the ing from that verb. Lots of interesting activities are being, and this verb is going to be used in the past participle form, done at the moment. Lots of interesting activities are being done at the moment. Are because object is plural, being because the action is in the present continuous tense, and done is the past participle form of the main. Now let's talk about the past continuous passive. The rule this time is was or were with being and the past participle form of the verb. Let's focus here. Was or were being, and here is or am being. So this rule is the past of that rule. Okay, they were watching a movie. They is the subject, were watching is the verb, a movie is the object. Okay, a movie is singular, so was. Being, as we said before in the present continuous passive, be, this is be, and it took the ing from watching. Okay, so a movie was being, and we take the past participle form of the verb watch, which is watched. A movie was being watched. Let's now talk about the present perfect passive. At first, present perfect means has or have with the past participle form. Passive means that has or have with been and the past participle form. Okay, she has watched a movie. She is the subject, has watched is the verb, a movie is the object. Omit the subject and move the object to the beginning of the new sentence. A movie is singular, so has. If the object is movies, the answer is have. So a movie has been according to the rule, because has or have must be followed with been in the present perfect passive. A movie has been, and the past participle form of the verb watch, which is watched. Now let's move to the past perfect passive, which is the past. The form of the past perfect passive is the past of the present perfect passive. has and have become had. So had been and the past participle form. Let's look at this example. The room looked much better. Somebody had cleaned it. Somebody is the subject, had cleaned is the verb, and it is the object. So the room looked much better. It had been cleaned according to this rule. What about the modal verbs passive? At first, what are modal verbs? Modal verbs are like shall, should, will, would, can, could, be, going to, have to, must, etc. So the rule is be with the past participle form of the verb. They should lower the voting age. They is the subject. The voting age is the object. Should lower is the verb. Omit the subject and move the object to the beginning of the new sentence. The voting age should, according to the rule, must be followed with be. Should be lowered is the past participle form of the verb. Finally, after some verbs like hope, want, expect, need, we use to with be with the past participle form. My car needs to be serviced. She wants to be chosen as the team captain. So in this lesson, we defined active and passive sentences. We said when we use passive sentences or when we use the passive form. Then we talked about the main form of the passive sentences. We discussed when we use by plus the agent. Okay, then we discussed the different passive forms in different tenses. The present simple passive, which is, are, am with the past participle form. We also talked about the past simple passive, which is was or were with the past participle form. The future simple passive will be. The present continuous passive is, are, am, being with the past participle form. The past continuous passive was or were being. The present perfect passive and the past perfect passive. The present perfect passive has or have been. Past perfect passive had been. Don't forget the past participle form of the verb. We also talked about modal verbs passive and the passive form after some verb. Let's do some exercises. Change the following sentences from active to passive. Alfred Nobel invented dynamite in 1867. Alfred Nobel is the subject. Invented is the verb, which is in the past simple tense because this is the time in the past. Dynamite is the object. Okay. Dynamite is the object. It's singular, so was, because the verb is in the past simple tense. Dynamite was invented, take the past participle form of the verb, by Alfred Nobel because it's an important person in 1867. People have used this invention since 1918. People is the subject. Have used is the verb. This invention is the object. Omit people. This invention is singular, so instead of have we use has. And according to the rule, has been, and take the past participle form of used, which is used. So this invention has been used since 1918. So again, this invention has been used since 1918. Let's move to the second exercise. Complete the passive sentences with the verbs given. A photo of her eyes take last month. Okay, so as we learned before, last is for the past simple tense. So a photo of her eyes, a photo is singular. So a photo of her eyes was, and use the past participle form of take, which is taken. 2. The passenger's passport check at the moment. At the moment is for the present continuous tense. Okay, so a passenger's passport is singular. So is. And the rule of the present continuous passive is that is with being and the past participle form of check, which is checked. A passenger's passport is being checked at the moment. Do you think the prize won by the same person again next year? We have next, which is used for the future. And the question is about a situation in the future. So in this case, we use will. Do you think the prize will? Okay, and according to the rule, will is followed with be. So will be and the past participle form of when, which is won. So do you think the prize will be won by the same person again next year? 4. This museum visited by thousands of people each year. Each year is used for the present simple tense to show that this action is repeated. This museum is, because museum is singular, and as I've just said, this sentence is in the present simple passive. This museum is visited by thousands of people each year. Remember that is, has, was are used for the singular, are, have, were are used for the plural. Let's remember the time expressions or the keywords we use for each tense. For the present simple, we usually use every, always, often, sometimes, yearly, usually. For the past simple tense, ago, before, last, yesterday, and any time in the past like 1980. For the present continuous, now, at the moment, right now, these days, at present, listen, be careful, watch out. For the past continuous, when, while, as. For the present perfect, already, recently, ever, never, just, since, for, yet. For the future simple, next, tomorrow, after, after 2 weeks, and any time in the future like 2033, etc. These are the most common time expressions and keywords we use with the tenses because you need them to decide on what tense you need to use to answer the passive sentences.